First, let's break down the raw numbers. In the first 2 games of the season, opposing quarterbacks have targeted Terrion Arnold's coverage 16 times. Out of those attempts, 11 have been completed, adding up to 176 yards and 1 touchdown. For context, that works out to a passer rating of 126.0 when throwing his way. Now, for those who follow advanced football analytics, you know that's not the kind of number you want attached to your coverage. Among all NFL defenders with at least 16 targets in coverage this season, only one player has surrendered a higher efficiency rating. In the world of football, that stat line is like a flashing red sign that makes fans worry. But remember, stats alone never tell the whole story. So what's next for Arnold? The schedule isn't doing him any favors. Over the coming weeks, Detroit faces some of the league's most dangerous passing attacks, which means Arnold will be tested again and again. But that's also the beauty of this moment. Every time he lines up across from a top receiver, he has the chance to flip the narrative, to go from being the corner quarterbacks are targeting to being the corner they avoid. And if his mindset is truly as strong as Campbell describes, those opportunities could shape him into the player Detroit envisioned when they drafted him. At the end of the day, Terrion Arnold's story is still being written. Yes, the stats through 2 games are tough to look at, but football is a game of growth, resilience, and adaptation. The Lions aren't panicking, and neither is Arnold. Instead, they're leaning into the challenge, knowing that the only way to become great is to take your lumps early and learn from them. For Detroit fans, this is the moment to watch closely, not because it's the end of the story, but because it's the beginning. If Arnold can channel his work ethic, lean on his coaches, and embrace the ups and downs, he could turn today's struggles into tomorrow's triumphs. And if that happens, we may look back at these first 2 games not as failures, but as the spark that lit the fire for a breakout career. Enter head coach Dan Campbell, the fiery motivational leader who has redefined Detroit Lions football over the last few seasons. On Saturday, when asked about Arnold's performance, Campbell made it clear he's not losing any sleep over his rookie corner. Why? Because, according to him, Arnold is putting in the work. Campbell described the young defensive back as confident, accountable, and determined to improve. He compared the cornerback position to quarterback, meaning when you're out there on an island, every mistake is magnified and everyone in the stadium can see it. But Campbell's point was simple. Just because fans see 1 or 2 plays where a corner gets beat doesn't mean the bigger picture isn't filled with progress and potential. What's especially striking is Campbell's emphasis on Arnold's attitude. He noted that the rookie doesn't shy away from acknowledging his mistakes. Instead, he embraces them as learning opportunities, saying to coaches, "I can be better and I will be better." That mentality is gold for a young player in the NFL. Confidence is critical, especially for a cornerback, because the moment you lose faith in yourself on the field, every opposing receiver is going to sense it and take advantage. Campbell clearly sees that Arnold has the right mix of self-belief and humility, which could be exactly what he needs to transform shaky beginnings into long-term success. Arnold himself echoed that sentiment when speaking about his performance. He admitted he holds himself to a high standard, just like his teammates do. His goal is to show up every single day with consistency, whether it's in practice or in games, and to keep growing. That kind of accountability is what separates rookies who fade quickly from those who eventually blossom into reliable starters. It's worth remembering that the NFL season is a marathon, not a sprint. Players often stumble in their first games, especially when adjusting to the speed and complexity of pro-level offenses. For Arnold, the key is not about where he is now, but about the strides he makes as the season continues. To understand why Arnold has faced such tough scrutiny so quickly, it helps to look at his background. Drafted out of Alabama, Arnold came into the league with high expectations. At Bama, he developed a reputation as a tough, physical corner with strong instincts and the ability to hold his own against elite receivers. Detroit fans were excited when the team picked him, believing he could be a cornerstone for the secondary. But like all rookies, the jump from college to the pros is massive. College receivers are fast. NFL receivers are faster, sharper, and more experienced. Adjusting to that level of competition takes time, no matter how talented the player is. And let's not forget the circumstances. Arnold stepped into a starting role right away, which is a challenge in itself. Last season, he started 15 regular season games and one playoff contest as a first-round rookie. That's already a ton of responsibility for a young defensive back. On top of that, the Lions' cornerback room has gone through changes. Former Auburn standout Carlton Davis, who was part of Detroit's starting tandem with Arnold in 2024, left for the New England Patriots in free agency this past offseason. To replace him, the Lions signed DJ Reed, who brings experience but is also adjusting to a new system. In other words, Arnold isn't just a rookie. He's part of a secondary that's still finding its chemistry. Now, if you're wondering how the Lions coaching staff views this, the message is clear. Patience and development. Defensive backs coach Dre Bly, himself a former Pro Bowl corner, has reportedly been working closely with Arnold to refine his technique and improve his ability to read routes. The Lions' defensive philosophy under coordinator Aaron Glenn is aggressive. They like to blitz, trust their corners to hold up in one-on-one matchups, and challenge opponents. That style can put corners in tough spots, especially young ones, but it also speeds up their learning curve. For Arnold, that means every rep, every snap, and every matchup against elite receivers is a chance to grow. Fans, of course, are split. Some are worried by the numbers and fear Arnold might become a weak link in an otherwise improving Lions defense. Others, echoing Campbell's perspective, believe these early struggles are simply growing pains and that the long-term payoff will be worth it. Remember, even some of the greatest corners in NFL history, guys like Champ Bailey, Darrelle Revis, and even Deion Sanders, had rookie moments where they were exposed. What defined them wasn't perfection from day one, but the ability to learn, bounce back, and eventually dominate. Detroit is hoping Arnold follows that same path. The larger context here is also fascinating. The Lions have transformed into one of the NFC's most intriguing teams under Dan Campbell. With an improved offensive line, a balanced attack led by quarterback Jared Goff, and a defense that's getting stronger, expectations in Detroit are higher than they've been in decades. For the Lions to truly compete with NFC powerhouses like the 49ers, Eagles, and Cowboys, they need their young defenders like Arnold to step up. That's why his development is so closely watched. It's not just about his career. It's about Detroit's push for playoff relevance and possibly even a deep postseason run. Picture this. The Detroit Lions are off to a promising start this season. Excitement is buzzing across the Motor City, but one name has unexpectedly found itself in the spotlight. Rookie cornerback Terrion Arnold. Through just 2 games, Arnold has been tested by opposing quarterbacks again and again, giving up completions, yards, and even a touchdown. On paper, the numbers don't look pretty, and critics are already raising eyebrows. But here's the twist. Inside the Lions' locker room, there's no panic, no finger-pointing, and definitely no loss of faith. Head coach Dan Campbell, known for his straight-shooting, motivational style, says he's not worried at all. In fact, He believes this is just the beginning of Arnold's growth into one of the league's toughest defenders. So today, let's dive into what's really happening with Terrion Arnold, why the Lions are standing by him, and why this story is about so much more than early season stats.